1991, the Super Cup, the only time we won it, Red Star Belgrade at Old Trafford. What do you remember?
Well, it was a peculiar situation because the first leg was at Old Trafford, and there was no second leg because the Yugoslavian war started. So we were awarded the trophy with a 1-0 victory, but I must tell you, we were absolutely slaughtered in the first half. They were absolutely fantastic. Panchev, Savicevic, Prozanecki. I mean, they had a fantastic team. And what I did in the second half, I brought Brian McLean in midfield to tighten up in midfield because there was slaughtering us in there. And Brian scored in a breakaway and we won 1-0. But we were very lucky, to be honest with you. That was a great Red Star team, some fantastic players. In fact, I was reading an article about world footballers way back 30 odd years ago, and they reckoned there was more world class players from Yugoslavia than any other country. And when you go through all the great names they had, it's got some feasibility about it, although Brazil and Argentina obviously have produced fantastic players also. So no, it was quite a fortuitous victory for us, but you take them, sometimes you play bad and you had the defenders to defend, and Bruce and Pallister were terrific at that time.
And Brian McClare has scored so many important goals for you over the years, but again, it showed his value, I guess.
Oh, he's a fantastic player. Very, very underrated player as for Brian McClare. He's one of these players that when the ball moved, he moved. He wasn't a great trainer in pre-season. He was always lagging behind, but you'd put a football on the pitch, he'd run all day. He had fantastic stamina, and he was really probably one of our most underrated players we've ever had. Simply because he wasn't a stylist. He was what we call a working man's player who did everything for the team. You could play him anywhere. I remember he was on the sub bench, and I think Gary was injured or something, and I said to him, go and play right back, and he started to laugh. And I said, what are you laughing at? He says, this is my 10th position. Bit exaggeration, but no, he was a fantastic player for us.
I just wonder if it was tricky in those days, because now we see football from all over the world at a click of a button. It's so easy to see. But you probably wouldn't have seen a lot of Red Star Belgrade, even though they won the European Cup. I wonder if it's difficult in terms of preparations in those days when you were playing European teams.
Well, they won the final in the penalty kicks. It was 0-0. But it was a type of game in which, what European finals happen so often, when they get to the last 20 minutes, there's a lot of caution attached to it. And then when extra time comes along, even more caution, and also players tire. So it wasn't a bad final because Reds had so many good players. And when we approached it, we knew there were going to be a difficult game because of the number of quality players they had. But we had a good team also. We were starting to emerge. We hadn't won the league yet, but they'd won the FA Cup the year before, and we won the Cup Winners' Cup against Barcelona in Rotterdam. So that's a pedigree, and Barcelona has some fantastic players. Barcelona actually won the European Cup the following year for the first time against Sampdoria at Wembley. So that wasn't as if we were playing a bad Barcelona team. What we did in the final in Rotterdam was our tactics were brilliant. The team did really, really well because they didn't play a central striker, something that Barcelona did years later. Laudrup dropped in the midfield, but we coped with it really well because we had Robson in your team, and Robson was able to organise the players around about him with Paul Ince, Louis Sharp, Mike Phelan. So we had a good midfield to cope with that kind of problem, and it was a really good triumph. We were actually the better team in Rotterdam. So yeah, it was a great moment, great time for us we're starting to emerge as a successful team.
And winning the Super Cup with United is a good achievement, but to win it with Aberdeen against Hamburg, who obviously won the European Cup in '83 as well, over 2 legs, I mean, that's a great achievement, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, they knocked us out of the UEFA Cup in the quarterfinals the year before. And in actual fact, we really should have murdered them. Beckenbauer was in their team at the time, we come to the end of his career, and they came to Pittodrie, and we decided that we should shove one of our midfield players right on top of the sweeper. Beckenbauer was a sweeper, and we absolutely annihilated them. We won 3-1. We're winning 3-1. A penalty kick in the last 5 minutes. Gone Strachan missed it. They went straight up the park and scored 3-2. We lost 3-1 over there, and we should have been through. And the following year they beat Juventus in the final. Magath scored that fantastic goal from 30 yards, and we beat Real Madrid. 2-1, which in a way you consider it, it's a bit of a miracle really. I mean, Real Madrid had all these fantastic players, Juanito, Santillana, Camacho, Metgod, Stielicke was an unbelievable player, the German. Del Bosque was in their side at the time, and you know, it was a really fantastic performance. Now when we played Hamburg, we knew all of the players, Manny Kaltz and Hunes up front, not the one at Bayern, Dieter, his brother, Magath, and his Schumacher was in, not Schumacher, the goalkeeper's Klaus, I think it was. And went over there and drew 0-0, really cold night, freezing night. We got a good draw, came out to Pittodrie, played really well and won 2-0.
It must have been cold there as well.
No, it was quite a nice night actually in Aberdeen. Don't often get them in the winter, but it was one of these rare nights.
That is a great thing, though, to win a Super Cup for Aberdeen. A remarkable thing. I mean, only Scottish club to ever do it.
Yeah, that's right. And well, United, to be honest with you, when we became successful, I didn't view the Super Cup as the most important thing, because if you remember, it was in Monaco on a Friday night, and we had to go and play on a Monday. So they put our game back to the Monday, which meant we'd only 2 days preparation. So in the games against Lazio and Zenit, I played a lot of the younger players. And I'm sorry I did that, I'll tell you why, because Lazio treated it with the World Cup final. They're dancing about the touchline, and I was raging. I said, you know, I'm sorry, I should have put the full lot out with the way they were celebrating. But the long-term view was always win your league, because there's a lot of tribalism in England, as you know. You're either against Liverpool, you're against Tottenham and Arsenal and Chelsea's, Manchester City's, Leeds United and Newcastle's. So there's a lot of tribalism attached to your Premier League. I think if you ask the supporters, what would you rather do, win the league or the Super Cup? I know the answer is. So we viewed it a wee bit differently. And in hindsight, I wish I'd have gone for it, you know, because at the end of the day, history is history. And if you won the Super Cup, we could have won it 3 times instead of twice. I might have been, even if we'd have played properly in Rome against Barcelona, and maybe another one. I think it was one of these big regrets, you know.
That's lovely. Thanks so much. I really appreciate that.